First of all, thank you very much, all of you, to come here and listen to our health track, particular topic, health technology that saves lives. As a matter of fact, technology, oh, by the way, I am Dr. Raj Shah. I'm an honorary IITian. I'm a cardiologist, but IIT technologist by passion, cardiologist by profession, and it's my great fortune to be able to be in presence of some of the smartest genius minds in the world. And that really excites me, that motivates me, and that makes me go even after 50 years of cardiology practice, which I'm still continuing. They inducted me in the board of Wills Global, making exception, and I've been fortunate to have more than 100 members in my health council who are guiding us, helping us, and I'm happy to say that Health Council of Wills Global is at the forefront in many projects which is helping our rural population. Wills Global focus is on rural population. You know, you heard a lot about it from all our leaders yesterday. Chief Minister of Maharashtra, he mentioned all the areas for rural health that Wills is actually created to serve. Water, healthcare, education, energy, livelihood, sustainability for rural population. And the mission for Wills Global is to impact 20% of rural population of our country. And you'll say, why these people sitting there or all over the world, why are they coming and why they want to do this? Simple reason. For it is our desire, our wish to give back, because we have received so much from our country and our education in IIT, IIM, IAS, AIMS, and all government-run medical schools. Almost 99% of education was financed by Indian taxpayer. So all of us, whatever success we have in our lives, credit goes to that education. And then it should go to the taxpayers of India. These are the people who did it for us. And therefore, we have created a mission to give back. All the IITians and doctors, and we have gotten together. We contribute. We each one contribute minimum $10,000 every year, between 30 to 40 people. From this small amount, we leverage the technology, our connection with IIT and some of the brightest minds to create a solution for rural population, which was actually described and suggested by then President Kalam when he was addressing the keynote speech at IIT, Pan IIT convention in Mumbai in 2006, and he said that you need to give something back. You have received so much from this country and the countrymen. And then he said, rural population needs a lot more help. Use your technology to solve the problem in this area. And right there and there, people like Hitenda, Suresh Shinoy, some of the Rajat Gupta, who were there, they formed Wills Global Foundation. And that has been the mission. And for last 15 plus years, we have continued to strive and do as best as we can. And that's why we are here. And I'm delighted that PIWOT 2025 organizers have put healthcare technology at the forefront. And that's why we have a whole track. So with that little introduction, we'll proceed. will proceed to celebrate today, as well as to listen from some of the heroes of technology who have given a solution in the healthcare arena. That is our passion. Doctors are looking to you, IITians, to the inventors. Give us the tools that will help to serve our patients better. And that includes the entire population of the world. And we have some amazing speakers today who have taken a lead, who have contributed so much and continue to do that in every area of healthcare. Healthcare, yes, yesterday Mr. Deshpande beautifully shown that people who have disposable income, about 3 billion in the world, they have options. They can choose. They can get what they want. But there are 5 billion who don't have option. They don't, because they don't have any disposable income, they have to take what they get. And they are the one in rural. Our Indian rural population is 893 million. 20% of that, about 20 million, 200 million that we want to make impact. And that's what we are thriving at. And God willing, and with all of your support, we shall achieve that in short 5-year period. Now look at the healthcare. And even before I go into healthcare, I want to say a word about technology. I know we think, oh, technology is something distant. Technology is in every step of our lives. From the morning you get up and comb your hair, and the brush that you use, and the toothpaste that you use, and the clothes that you wear, and then vehicle that you use to go, whatever you do, it's created by technologists. If you look at this graph, why it's not projecting on the main screen, please? Oh, it is there. If you look at the screen, almost till 200 million years, when we began with the Stone Age, from there onward, it is the technologist created everything that we are doing, otherwise we wouldn't have existed, we'll still be living in Stone Age. So technology is very dear. And in healthcare, everything that we do, everything, even 2,000 years ago, or 200 years ago when we used stethoscope, that was created by technocrats. And everything else that we do today. And in last 5 decades, if you look at, the graph was pretty straight line. In last 50 years, particularly with invention of digitization, computers, microchips, whatever has happened has not happened in last 500 million years. That's the progress we made. Salute to all those who have done basic research and gave us the tools. Now we can look at the beating heart just using the sound waves. Now we can look at the entire body and structure inside using your CT scan or MRI. This was impossible. When I went to medical school in 1964, we were looking at the cross-section cut in the anatomy museum. That thing. We see everything live. That's the power of technology. And with upcoming AI, big data analysis, the new invention of imaging, this is absolutely going to transform healthcare, healthcare delivery, health diagnosis, treatment, and everything. Just look at during COVID. This was impossible. We created vaccine in 1 month. The previous vaccine, it took 10 to 20 years before we were able to bring it to the market. Look at the mass production of the thing. Look at the way data, prevalence of COVID, you were getting hour by hour information. You can see in the world what's happening. You can see how many people, even predict how many people will have complication and die. That's the power of big data. That's the power of technology. That's the power of information that we have. Now, I know I can go on, but I have so many great speakers today. I don't want to take the things away from what they have to share. So remember, the power of innovation is absolutely amazing. Now, Today, our goal is to highlight and celebrate those leaders, bring it to your attention what is happening in healthcare arena. Just to briefly say, summarize, oh my God, just in last 10 years, not just the telemedicine, but the imaging, guided laser, radiation therapy, nuclear medicine, remote robotics and procedures, big data analytics, machine learning, AI, virtual reality, virtual touch, point of care testing, nanotechnology, genetic engineering, molecular engineering, flying microchip, which flies without power. It just goes like bugs in the air, and do surveillance of the prevalence of disease, temperature if people are having. It just mind-boggling. So another amazing thing, I don't know this will run because we don't have the internet connected, but Sundar Pichai 2 years ago showed just while they were doing the retina screening, taking picture of the inside of the eye. And from that data analytics, they had hundreds of thousands of patients. From this data analytics, they were able to predict who has heart disease, who is likely to have heart attack 72 hours before, who is likely to get complication from severe infection after discharge from hospital. This is unthinkable. This is absolutely unthinkable that is happening. So the best is yet to come. We just have begun. So now, with that little introduction, I want to introduce our speakers. And we have some amazing speakers who are technocrats as well as some doctors who would be bringing to your attention what they have done and what they are doing, and they can give us some preview to what is coming. It's my pleasure. I'll just introduce some of them who are sitting right here. I'll introduce one by one as I call. Our first keynote speaker is Gautam Khanna. Gautam is IIT graduate, Kanpur, who is CEO of one of the premier hospitals of Mumbai, Hinduja Hospital. Look at technocrats coming in and helping in the healthcare arena. So Gautam, without any further ado, I invite you to come and give your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. So I don't have a slide presentation, but I have a few slides to get you to start thinking. And I'm sure the way I look around the room, I think many of you will connect with what I'm going to show. And some of you may have seen in the 1980s, or 80s, I think, 1980s, we used to have a program called Star Trek. So some of you probably remember Star Trek. It used to be my favorite program. And yeah, so people who are acknowledging, we already know your age, so. That's it. But think about this. What do you see here? And it's going to come in a minute. It's a little futuristic, so give it a few seconds. It's come. Thank you. So what you see here is, this is not far away. Okay, so this is going to be in a few years, maybe few decades. So one of my favorite characters from that Star Trek was Dr. McCoy. Somebody remembers Dr. McCoy? Yes. So all the things happened, and what this fellow would do, he would come, he would have some tricorder equivalent, and he will do just some scan, and he'll get all this. You remember? So now this was 1970s. Okay, so this is where technology is going, and this is what I wanted you to think, that whatever science fiction was mentioned a couple of decades ago is now reality. All of us know that. We have seen, I mean, we could not have imagined a small phone bigger than, I mean, I remember in my campus days, we used to have a big Deck 20, which was bigger than this size room, which is probably much lower in capacity than our iPhones right now. So, so things have changed. But now, think about that. That what can happen, and I am going to take you through some examples of what Dr. Shah mentioned, that the technology and the medicine now are converging, and we have some examples. We'll talk about that. So they are converging because technology is driving everything. He just talked about Sundar Pichai talking about technology. I mean, you could not have imagined some California company talking about healthcare. We are talking about multiple IITs collaborating with the medicine, somebody opening a hospital, developing a school of research, technology, medical school, unimaginable. But I think if somebody can take us to the frontiers of medicine, it is the confluence of technology and medicine. But let's think about it. Dr. Shah mentioned one thing, that can you imagine that before you get the disease, somebody predicts it, that listen, now I have a little ethical question whether it's right or wrong. I mean, if it is going to happen in the near term, then maybe you need to tell that, in the next couple of weeks, just be careful. But if something is going to happen 2 decades later, I'm not so sure you want to tell them. So it's a little bit of ethical dilemma, but it's a possibility. Is it possible that you can actually, and some of you have probably read the example, that there was a surgery some days ago. There was a surgery done in Jaipur by a cardiac surgeon who was sitting in Gurgaon. I don't know, anyone read about that? You read about that. So some of you read about it. So it is unimaginable. So those things are happening. We have an example when during COVID, and we started this telemedicine, etc. And we are mostly Bombay based. But how many cities connected to us? We got patients from 250 cities in the country, 10 cities from abroad. Can you imagine that? Few years ago. So technology, confluence, and medicine is working. But think about it. All of us, not all of us, many of us have this watch. Okay. Today, this watch is not connected to the doctor directly, because I don't want the doctor to know. But someday it will be connected to somewhere where somebody will be able to predict and tell me what is going to happen based on my parameters. But why is this all important? So I am not so sure how many of you noticed Dr. Shah in 2 slides actually he had the mention of 3 A's, where he talked about accessibility, affordability, and availability. I think you had two slides, he had that. And I connected it because I think about it all the time. That's the issue. 600 million people in the country today don't have access to healthcare. So that means people in villages, rural areas, etc., I'm going to modify, don't have access to modern medicine. Okay, because some may say that they have traditional medicine. So they don't have access. To understand this issue in the country, and I'm going to put a little more emphasis on this, is understand the rule of 30. The rule of 30 is, just for people to remember, 30% of the population in mostly urban areas and tier 1, etc., have access to 70% of the resources of healthcare, which is the private sector, which is the spending, etc., etc. Close to 30% people are insured. So that means out of $1.5 billion population, there is a huge chunk which is waiting for a solution to get basic healthcare to them. And that is where I am urging all of us, some of us, to come together and see what we can do. And I am in agreement with you that we need to give back, because the society has made us who we are, and we need to figure out a way of doing this. So examples of what technology is doing today. So for example, there are AI solutions which are used in radiology, in X-ray, in MRI, CT, where they are predicting up to today 90% accuracy, and then the radiologist takes over. But what that does, so now for some people, you may not immediately connect. How does it help? The way it helps is that today a radiologist can maybe read 10, 20, 30 reports, 30 scans, 40 scans. But if you do this, suddenly it becomes 2x, 3x, 4x. And then because of this, you really don't have to be in the physical proximity. You can be sitting in Mumbai and you can be reading a scan which is done in Jalgaon. And you have done a mass screening in Jalgaon. Some people who may not know, Jalgaon is in Maharashtra. So you do mass screening, you get the things here, and then quickly give a report. So think about the population health screening, where you are able to predict the disease patterns. Think about, some of you have probably heard about robotic surgery. You know, there are almost 10 million robotic surgeries have been done in the country, in the world today. Okay, so these robots are essentially, so the surgeon is operating. It's not that the robot is operating. Today, as we speak today, the robot is not operating. The surgeon is operating from a little far away thing, but the accuracy and precision is very high. And the recovery time of the patient is much faster. To give you in terms of economics, if you do an open surgery for let's say a urology procedure, it probably hospital stay of 4 days, 5 days, etc. If you do a robotic and done quickly and nicely, properly, 2 days, maximum 3 days. So that means 2 days of hospital stay is reduced. So the patient benefits, heals faster, insurance companies don't have to pay so much. Okay, so some people may say that the only person who is disadvantaged is the hospital because their earning is low. But I don't think so, because the numbers are so huge in the country, it doesn't matter. Okay, so that's an example. The other thing you talked about in one of the slides was genomics. And the genomics as a field is growing so much, and that is where technology is important. See, all the genomic companies, most of them have been set up by technologists, not by doctors. Okay, and there is the use of genomics for general health checkup. I don't agree, because you don't need to know that you will get cancer 30 years later. No need to know. But what you need to know, if a doctor prescribes that you go do a gene test, so you know which gene is causing which disease, you switch it off and then you cure it. Okay, so that's something which is coming. In medical, the clinical field, one of the most important things is education and training. Now, the surgeon needs to be trained. And how do they get trained? So he mentioned he saw the anatomy in the museum. So you use virtual reality for training, simulation models, etc., etc. So that is also coming. And the more you use technology, the faster you are, the more spread out you can be across the country. Some of you probably know that the 3D printing has been started in healthcare also. They've started making a few things. It's still not done because it is not clinically approved by DCGI, that you cannot print an artificial heart or something. You can't do that as of now, but it's a possibility. So that's something which is coming. And then, you know, the chatbots, etc., etc. So that I'm going to skip. But I want to talk to you about one more thing. You know, the practical applications of how technology is currently existing today. Some of you may not know that. You know, for neurosurgery. So when you say you have to do neurosurgery, what does one assume? That, you know, you go to a surgeon, he'll gory, but he'll cut open he'll do a craniotomy, you know, he'll do some surgery. But do you know that there is a equipment called gamma knife from gamma rays? Okay, so essentially what it does, the multiple gamma rays through physics, you pinpoint the exact location of the tumor, and then you put the gamma rays, and within couple of minutes, you're done. So it's a non-surgical intervention. Now, it cannot treat all the neuro cases, but a few it can. So 10-15% of the cases where you would have had to do a proper neurosurgery, then recovery, etc., then higher risk, this is done instantly. I mean, it takes 2-3 days to proper position, etc., but that exists today. And to give you an example, so I'm doing a little bit of selling of the hospital for a minute. So
We saw that and we
You saw that?
Actually, thank you for that.
you did? Oh, okay. So yeah, so we were in Hinduja hospital, we were the first one in Southeast Asia to do it. AIMS followed later. Okay. So the point is, now in this room I'm going to say financially it doesn't make sense, you never make money on this. But that's not the point. The point is, it is a technology solution which really helps the patients. And so that has been in existence, so you saw that.
That was commendable.
Yeah, thank you. The SPECT scan in nuclear medicine, you can actually pinpoint what is going on. And the 3D CRT, etc., etc., etc. Now, many of these technologies today, the radiology technologies, some of you may think, what's so great? Earlier you had an MRI, today also you have an MRI. You had a CT, today also you have a CT. So what's the big deal? The big deal there is that with improved technology, you are reducing the dosage of the radioactive material, which is a very important thing for the patient's health for future. So that's something which is hidden, which the patients don't know, but the clinicians know. And that is how the technology is moving. And of course, now there are multiple things. I don't know how many of you know. There are open MRIs, there are standing MRIs. Of course, they are not as effective as a 3 Tesla MRI, but so be it. It will evolve there. But functional. Oh, I love functional MRI. I have to say this. As an engineer, you love it. Not as a doctor. I'll tell you why. So some of you may not know what functional MRI is. Functional MRI, in simple terms, is basically you inject something and you figure out, or you do some tests and you see which part of the brain lights up for doing math problem, for doing this, for thinking of situation. So I don't know whether clinicians or not, but as a technology guy, I just love it. How great it is to know that this part of your brain lit up.
We love it.
I love it. You love it. You love it. Yes, it is actually used for pediatrics. A lot of it for pediatrics. But think about it. The other real problems in this world, in the country today. You can today, there are solutions working on developing an artificial uterus. So ask the women whose uterus has been removed. Will this be a good thing for them? There are prosthetics. There are advanced prosthetics which are coming. There are things on which I am not so sure because I have not seen it, is talking about cryonics and preserving the body. I have no idea where it's going on, but I'm not very sure also. The other thing, what I'm very excited about, but I don't know how it is happening, is the study on longevity, which I think is being done a lot in California, and I think in the blue zones it's happening. So coming back to India, we talked about the 3 A's, the access, affordability and availability. So I'm just going to take 2 more minutes.
Sure.
Today, the problem in India is that we are short of beds. If we want to do universal health coverage in the next 7, 8, 10 years, we need 9 lakh beds to be set up. Now, that's a huge investment. And to just understand the perspective that each investment in a tertiary or quaternary care hospital in a metro is 1.5 crores per bed. So it's a huge investment. In a, let's say secondary care, it will be 30, 40 lakhs. So that also is a lot of money. Now, is that money going to come? I'm not so sure. But what can be done is, can I move the care out of the hospital? So, like for example, and I mentioned to some of you that we were the first one to start the home care service in 2008. So, can I move dialysis? Can I move chemotherapy? Can I move some other stuff? Or like for example, from the ICU, can I move to home where we can do some kind of a ICU coverage? Like we have a new system, and some of you probably have heard about it, is remote vital monitoring system for patients. Can I use some of that where the patient is in the room and the nurse is monitoring the vitals on the on the screen? If it is possible within a floor, it's possible within 20 kilometers. I mean, it's just technology, but it's still being tested. So that, I think, will be a solution to coping up with the 9 lakh bed shortage. Because then I get something happening. Then I get what is called the access problem I'm able to solve. The other problem is the shortage of doctors and nurses. So the more and more doctors, so whatever we are talking about doctors, I think we need to do 2x and 3x. And 2x and 3x will be possible only if you do more training, faster training, utilize technology, etc. So you need super specialists. And one of the things which I have, and I'm going to mention this to you, Dr. Shah, because I know you've been involved in API also, right? This is my claim, and I had said this in another forum, in a doctor's forum. So I'm going to say this to you too. I want Ghar Vapsi campaign for the Indian doctors. So they need to come back to India.
That has been my pitch to all.
Yes.
To you as well.
So I think that's the availability. So you get doctors and nurses, etc., etc. About the affordability piece, and this I'm going to leave the thing to the technologists to think about. How do I make something affordable? I am not in favor of cheap, because cost-effective affordability doesn't mean that you may have to make it so cheap that it loses its value. No. Healthcare has a particular standard. It needs to be delivered in a particular manner. You need to either give the ability to pay. That means you need to have adequate insurance, etc. Or you develop a unique technology solution which delivers it at a lower cost. Not just remove the features. So I think that's one thing which I'm going to talk about. The other thing is about, I think that I've covered the three: access, availability, and affordability. And the last thing, which is not there in the three, which is there in my fourth one, which is called accountability. So the healthcare profession needs accountability. And accountability comes only when there is some data which is visible, which you can track and you can say. So I think there's a lot of work to be done on the accountability piece to predict the trends, etc., and what needs to be done. So if we combine all this, what I'm thinking is that there are some young people here who I'm sure have the fire in them to change the world, to do something different. So for you, I'm going to leave you with this. So think about whatever solution you have developed. Think about Dr. McCoy. If you have not seen Star Trek, go and see the Dr. McCoy. It's just lovely to see like this he does. Probably it's a handheld MRI, CT all combined into one. So think about that. Think about that giving to a rural ASHA worker in a village. Think about you are providing a solution from a city to the ASHA worker in the village and taking care of the patient. You are giving solutions for mental health problems in some far away village in the country. You can do it. And I think the only way to do it is that if all of us, some of us from the healthcare field, some of us from the technology field, they come together, they talk about it, and then only we can transform the world. And I have to say this, I'm firstly thankful to you for leading the health track, because first step is to recognize that health is important. Like I was mentioning, that most of us think, first we think economy, first we think personal wealth, then institutional wealth, then country's wealth, economy, then entertainment, then all this. Oh, by the way, now health is here. So I just want you to flip a little bit and think about that we lose close to 2.5 million days in India due to ill health. So there is a loss of 1.6 or 7% of the GDP because of ill health. So being healthy, taking care of the health, giving all these solutions can really help the country. And I think this is an opportunity for all of us to transform healthcare with technology. And I urge, let us all do it together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Gautam, amazing to learn all the things that we doctors think, but you have even a super doctor made in a technocrats who is thinking all this problem. You rightly deserve to be CEO not only of the hospital, but it should be for the national health.
Thank you.
Thank you. A big round of applause to Gautam. Gautamji, thank you. We'll keep question at the last, if may, so everybody will have chance to speak. One good thing, although I initially I was little uncomfortable with this hall and arrangement, but now I'm happy because there is nothing to follow. We can be here as long as we want to. We don't have to be in time constraint. So let's proceed to our next hero. Devashish ji, namaste. Please recognize the chairman of PIWOT to 2025. Thank you very much for allowing us this opportunity, bringing healthcare in PIWOT 2025.
It is our opportunity, not yours and not mine.
Thank you.
So, I mean, when we are talking about something and a larger objective, I think it is all our collective contribution, right? We have, all of us have come together. That itself shows the commitment we have to the topic at hand, which is impact of technology in work. And basically when we talk about technology, we are talking about impact in real lives. What I am doing day to day, moment to moment, time to time. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation and coming over. This great fellow has been on my EC for the last 4 years. I'm seeing him for the first time in person. Even in meetings, he's mostly not visible, you know? No. It is just a statement. There is no value attached to it. Our problem is whenever a statement is made, we start judging the value of this. So today is not a judgment. But what I would like to share with you is a simple thing. Yesterday, for me, has been a conglomeration of defining moments. And one of the defining moments that came to me, it came to me almost with the impact of a Nobel Prize announcement, right? What I realized was Newton was a bania. Who else?
I can tell you, everyone loves bania. Thank you.
And I'll tell you why I'm saying this. Because who else would realize that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. There is a credit and there is a debit. And Newton need not have had an apple fall on his head. He should have just gone to Bunny and asked him. He would have got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your kind words. If Dr. Sharaf is here or whenever he shows up, I would like to have him say a few words. If you just send.
He's in some other plenary. So we three are distributed.
Okay. Thank you so much. Putting healthcare in technology world is a great honor for us doctors to be in.
I think it is about science. At some point of time when we were moving into the 20th century, the science started becoming specialized and we segregated the streams. Right? Now the circle is turning itself. Everything is converging. Right? That is all that I realize. I don't have brains better than that because I used to sleep in my classes.
So it's more pristine. I think after this, we're going to go into a discussion, a moderator panel. I'm going to invite Maneesh Goyal. Maneesh ji? Maneesh ji is COO of one of the largest patient data platform in the world. He, Mayo Clinic, he will describe briefly also, and he will interview and moderate two amazing speakers that we have today, amazing technocrats, we can call one of those 100 titans of IITians. Kris, Kris ji, we need you on the chair. Kris Gopalakrishnan, one of the founder of Infosys and currently leading Axilor company, which is helping healthcare startup with his acumen into healthcare technology and technology itself, which I'll ask him to tell a few things about him. It's just a great pleasure to have you, Kris ji. And we have Rajendra Prasad Gupta, the president of the digital world, who is taking healthcare to a journey of digitization and taking it to a different level. I studied everything analog and those waves. Now I'm learning 0 and 1. And God willing, just like DNA, we'll have a language of 4. Then I think the sky is the limit. Thank you. So Maneesh ji, stage is yours. Please tell about you and let's get the maximum from our leaders here so that we can learn. Thank you.
First of all, I'm not going to be interviewing you. I'm going to be interrogating you. So let's just be very clear. So Raj and I had a chance to talk yesterday, and we said we're going to make sure that we're going to make them sweat. Okay, so it's going to keep it interesting, and I don't want agreement. We do not want agreement. We want a lot of disagreement for good dialogue. While we're getting the mics working, Maneesh Goyal, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Mayo Clinic platform. As Raj mentioned, I have the privilege of working with the largest, I'd say the most specialized and the #1 hospital system in the world. All right, let's try it again. How's that? All right. Maneesh Goyal, the Chief Operating Officer for Mayo Clinic platform. Mayo Clinic is the #1 hospital system by certain ranks and serves patients. Oh my gosh. All right, how about this? I'll go really close. Really close, all right. Really close. Really close, all right. So Mayo Clinic, the #1 hospital system by certain regards. I have the privilege of leading one of the business units at Mayo Clinic. Have been in this role for 5 years. Very briefly, my background is about building companies. I helped to start and build a company called Broadcom Corporation. It's a semiconductor company that some of you might have heard of. Been a venture capitalist, and then most recently a health tech entrepreneur. For those who don't know Mayo Clinic, we practice a particular kind of medicine. It's called integrated medicine, where a diagnosis is interpolated by multiple specialties. So if you come in with a particular kind of cancer of the lungs, we wrap pulmonary, we wrap oncology, we wrap cardiovascular to make an integrated diagnosis. Mayo Clinic, 100% of our staff is salaried. We have no bonuses. Everybody gets paid in a structured way. And why is that important? That cuts to the core of delivering patient-centric care. No one is focused on economics. We're about outcomes, and that's why for 160 years we've been able to deliver high-quality care. Why am I here? It's simple. We recognize that the patients we see 1.2 million patients a year from 150 different countries, have luxury. They're able to get on a plane. They're able to be in a geography around Mayo Clinic. How do we impact patients' lives across the world? So we've been partnering with other institutions. We spent a nice day with Gautam and the Hinduja hospital team trying to understand if there are partners across the world that we can actually share information. So sharing data, sharing knowledge, sharing algorithms. And so by that point, we can actually impact billions of lives. I'll say one more thing. I think we're in a cell phone moment in healthcare. The cell phone changed everything. 20 years ago, getting a landline was a year-long wait. Now you can get a cell phone in a heartbeat. Every single person, I was just noticing in the room, your cell phone is no further than a foot or two away from you at all times. That's changed everything. I think healthcare is about to have a cell phone moment, and the developing world is going to leapfrog the developed world in many ways. So I'm hoping to be a part of that, and I was born in Ajmer, and I'd look to figure out how to give back to India. So with that, Kris?
I thought you were going to ask me a question. You said interrogate.
I'm going to start easy, so please introduce
Okay.
yourself.
Kris Gopalakrishnan. Probably many of you will recognize me if I say I'm a co-founder of Infosys. After I left Infosys in 2014, I decided to look at investing in research. I chose brain and brain sciences, neuroscience, and then recognized that if I want to create an impact on the social side, I need to extend that into health, wellness, gracefully aging, or looking at how people age, etc. And that's where my interest in healthcare came. But to this audience, let me give you a new perspective, and then I'll take it forward. India represents 20% of the world's population. So if you find a solution, and if it doesn't work in India, you're missing 20% of the world's population. The data from India is different from the data from elsewhere. The diversity that you see in India, and the genetic makeup of India probably may not be the same as the genetic makeup elsewhere in the world. We take medicines without worrying about whether it works in India or not works in India, because it's been never tested on Indian subjects, etc. So I strongly feel that India must not just use these medicines, but India must contribute back to actually building the solutions also. There's another reason why I believe India must contribute back, and this is, many of you have referred to this, affordability. The cost of some of the new solutions that are coming, CAR-T technology, or looking at mRNA technology, looking at many of the things that we talked about, it's not affordable. And the solutions that are coming from developed world, and you mentioned this just now, developed world, I think, is solutions that will touch the top 10% of the world. It will not touch 90% of the world. The solution coming from India can hopefully touch the 100% of the world. Vaccine is a good example. Vaccine from the US was $30 per dose. Vaccine from India was $3 per dose. So there is a role that India can play. India also can play in creating a new model, which is also very important, because the healthcare models in many of the places in the world today, I believe, is reaching a stage where the costs are extremely high. I saw the data which says that US spends 17% of the GDP on healthcare. And still, I think the outcomes, if you can afford, because in US also many people can't afford, is probably same as the best in India. So it's not very different. So we need to think about creating a new model for healthcare in India, and that's what I'm trying to help with, trying to get involved with. So first of all, when it comes to data, we have now created through Genome India initiative the start of a genetic database for Indian subjects across India. It's just a start, because only 10,000 people are represented in that, and we are trying to expand that. We are doing a longitudinal study of 10,000 people to see how they age. We have 7 years data. We are going to extend it to another 20 years. This is very similar to the Framingham study that happened in the US. Here it's focused on aging and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia. We are publishing brain atlas across from birth, from conception to death. The first database, first set of images are published. This is from IIT Madras. 5,000 images of the brain at a cellular resolution. Nowhere in the world has the cellular resolution images being published. 5,000 images are published. Our aim is to publish 200,000 images in the next 2 years. The 5,000 images are in the second trimester. So this is 12-month to 24-month fetal brain images. We will be publishing up to 200,000 images of all age groups. And this will be the most comprehensive atlas in the world. Again, just to give you the perception of cost, Allen Brain Institute in Seattle published it. We have published at 10 times the resolution at 1/10 the cost. Wow. Okay, so and this is just the beginning. Then just to give you again some examples, during COVID, we created a startup which allows you to run multiple samples in the same cycle, reducing the cost of diagnostics. This is called algorithmic biologics. They are now taking it to other lab diagnostics, so you can run multiple samples, again reduces the cost. You can do, same results are there, you can get the same results. It was run for COVID, but now they're running it for all other blood biomarkers and things like that. Another example, again, new business model. Many of the operating theaters in hospitals sometimes are not used fully. So there is a startup now which is actually renting these operating theaters, renting doctors. So they just take a operating theater for 1 day. They bring the doctors, do the operations there, so that the operating theater can be fully utilized. So this is a asset light model of running operating theaters actually. So again, a new model for reducing the cost, increasing the efficiency, efficacy, and things like that. So India, I believe, is going to create a new model for the world in terms of many of these things, including in the diagnostic area. We came up with using thermal imaging for breast cancer screening. Again, 1/10 the cost. It's 90% good or 95% good. It's FDA approved now. But the advantage here is the subject can be behind a screen. It's non-invasive, and again, from a culture perspective, it's sometimes more acceptable. More important, it's portable, so you can take it to the remote villages and things like that, and do mass breast cancer screening, etc. Again, and very low cost. It's completely portable. So such new models are emerging from India, and I can talk about many of these things. The blood biomarker study is something that we have initiated now with mass spectroscopy, with some of the AI algorithms, etc. Now with a single drop of blood, and of course we are aware of what happened to Theranos, etc. But with new technology, we believe that probably we will be able to look at blood biomarkers and looking at diagnostics capabilities with using blood biomarkers. One of the startups I'll just mention is Microbiotics. With a blood biomarker, we are able to look at microbiome, right? And again, this is CDSO approved. We're going for FDA approval. So there are now a slew of solutions that are emerging from India, which are lower cost, same efficacy, new business models, like asset light models, reusing resources, reusing scarce resources. Telemedicine, somebody already talked about, for taking the hospital or the doctor to the remotest village, to the last mile. So new solutions are emerging, which I believe will transform healthcare. And last but not the least, we are also coming up with, India has, somebody mentioned 30% coverage of insurance, 30% of coverage healthcare, etc. How do you make it 100%? You can make it 100% only if you look at democratizing access through technology, which also requires us to look at insurance, health insurance also reaching to the last mile. Can we create a health insurance package which costs maybe 10 rupees per day? Right? It's been tried out. Dr. Devi Shetty, I don't know whether he's going to speak or not, will talk about how multiple surgeries are being done at very, very low cost insurance. Right? Very, very low cost insurance. They're able to do multiple very sophisticated surgeries and things like that. We also need to look at leveraging technology to streamline the claims processing, the ability to collect data in population scale, the National Digital Health Mission. I hope, Rajendra, you will talk about this. We're all looking at new models actually of providing healthcare, quality healthcare to the 1.4 billion people, which I believe will be a model for the 8 billion people in the world. Thank you.
Raj, obviously Kris is very excited about this and has ample number of examples. What do you think is exciting about healthcare?
So before I get to healthcare, Maneesh, you said you will interrogate me, and you told me multiple times. So working with politicians, I learned one thing is to pay back. So I'm going to interrogate the audience to tell what I do. So how many of you have kids or grandkids who will get impacted by the national education policy? Can you raise your hands? And how many of you feel that the national health policy 2017 will impact you or your families? You don't know, good. And if none of these impact, what do you think Viksit Bharat will impact you, the flagship program of the government of India? Can you raise hands? Viksit Bharat, the flagship program of the government of India, will impact. So all three were ideated and drafted by me. So that's my introduction. I also served advisor to the health minister, and very important question. And seeing after Gautam speaking, Rasha laying the context, and Kris speaking, I think they have already covered everything. On healthcare, what I'm very excited about is one thing. This is the first time government is ahead of the industry. Industry is still figuring out what to do. I'm glad that Pan IT Network has put healthcare on the agenda, which I think is second time, because last year I spoke at your Bangalore conference. So very excited about what the government's vision is to give everyone an ABHA ID. We already crossed 700 million. I think we should be 740, 760 million. In terms of creating the telemedicine, people are talking of telemedicine. India created the world's largest telemedicine platform, eSanjeevani. We have done probably by now 320, 330 million teleconsultations. Now we are moving to health claims exchange. So just imagine the way we are going. I mean, been involved with US and other parts of the world. They created solutions, then they created standards. So we created standards first, now we're creating solutions. So very structured way of approaching healthcare is happening in India. That's the big change, Maneesh.
Well, that's great, and that's the right way to do it. Okay, so now let's talk about the hard questions. You, Kris, you named a lot of anecdotal evidence of change coming, but we know physicians are trained. That's a very specific word. They're trained, and then they practice medicine based on how they were trained. How do we make everything that you're talking about scalable? And it starts with getting physicians to adopt everything that you named. How do we do that? Otherwise, it's theoretical.
Right. So these modalities, so from a diagnostics perspective, that is the reason why it is going through CDSO, which is the Indian regulatory agency that approves these technologies, and FDA approval and things like that, because strangely enough, Indian system says get FDA approval first and then we will approve. It's a very strange phenomenon that I see happening, because we don't trust our own approval process and things like that. So that's one thing that we are doing. Second thing, many of these things are already being trialed on some of the leading hospitals in the country, and they're part and parcel of the use of these technologies and techniques. For example, I talked about operating theaters being rented, right? So multiple hospitals are participating in this because they get additional income. That's the reason why they're participating. The doctors get additional, additional opportunities to do more surgeries and things like that. So they are willing to participate. The economics around it allows this to be scaled up, etc. And I think ultimately, and the consumers benefit because they're getting affordable healthcare, quality healthcare, and things like that. We are using these operating theaters for elective surgery. So elective surgery is going to the remotest part of the country, and we bringing this to hospitals where these things are normally not performed because they don't have those specialists, right? Suddenly, this is again possible to do. So the India is adopting, and I'm hoping that when they see success here, other countries will adopt it. We have seen that in other areas, and in healthcare, I hope that we will be able to demonstrate to the world that here are some new models that are emerging.
So economics is certainly a driver of change. Raj, what do you think is going to make it enticing for physicians to adopt the new technologies?
I think we don't need to make it enticing, because the fact is technology never seeks permission. And I'll give you an example. But what it needs is an ecosystem. So I'll give you an example of Arvind Eye Care. People know them for the lowest cost cataract surgeries, but what they did was they created the intraocular lens also for $2. So today they do the largest number of cataract surgeries in the world and of the best quality. Yeah, so I think what I am seeing as a big change is this is the only sector where we have placed doctors on a very high altar of being next to God. Sorry, doctors in the room, I apologize. It's going to change. Doctors are not going to be next to God. The main arbiter of knowledge, where everything you kept to yourself, saying that, okay, I will tell the patient what to do, what not to do. Today, the patient tells the doctor also, sir, what you have written, I heard this is not going to work. So I'll tell you that trust me, all doctors, when we talk to senior doctors, they tell us that patient walk into us and they guide us now.
Google has become God.
That's true. And the best part is that doctors are forced to use technology, because I can give you specific examples. So I have the Indian cricket superstar Sachin Tendulkar patronizing a technology, health technology. I have Boman Irani of 3 Idiots fame patronizing a technology in health. Now, will they believe Dr. Raj Shah or anyone, or Boman Irani or Sachin Tendulkar? Now, the challenge lies in terms of how do I control the quality of information, Maneesh, that's going on the web. But that's certainly forcing doctors to use technology, because I know of a solution that helps me manage my hypertension or diabetes better. So when I go to Dr. Raj, I say, Dr. Raj, I respect you. My family has been getting your treatment, but I heard this in Instagram. Can you tell us? And if he doesn't know, it is his challenge. And I'll tell you my experience. We started the Academy of Digital Health Sciences in 2019 before COVID, exactly for the reason to train. Who are taking the course? The Dean of KEM, Dr. Hemant Deshmukh. Surgical oncologist from Vizag, Dr. Raghunan Rao, 40 years medical oncologist. So they are also not technology averse, but then they need to be taught. And let me give another example, because CDSCO came in. So a lot of doctors here, if I ask them what is DTX, they will say, we don't know. The government of India last year approved 2 DTX, one for cardiology, one for migraine. It will be in public domain because pharma companies are going to make money out of it. They're going to publicize using all the channels available on marketing, and today it is like you can democratize it. So patient is going to ask a doctor, sir, I have migraine, can you prescribe me this? So I think that very fundamental thing, what will doctor need to use technology, is not a question anymore. It is either a force if you use it, or it's a fear if you don't use it. That's how it's going to be.
So I love that. At Mayo, what we say is AI is not going to replace doctors. Physicians who use AI will replace doctors who do not. use AI, right? That's the fundamental. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what India's role is. So India has the smartest technology acumen in the world, and we can see a lot of that at this conference. We have some of the best hospitals in the world. What's missing? What's missing for India to take a leadership role in healthcare?
So India has already taken, as I said, in terms of our Prime Minister putting the vision of saying, let's first give insurance to 550 million who can't afford healthcare. So India didn't wait for the world to tell it, or rather import the failures of the West, as I call it. So we moved to do that. I mean, I told our Honorable Prime Minister, that I, at that time, and I think 14 or 15, that I pay 6,000 to get insurance of 7,000 to get insurance of 5 lakh. We can probably give to everyone. It's only the government has to buy it. We have to provide. And now what we did is sequentially rolled out ABDM, is to provide technology-based. And now just imagine who are the major users of this PMJY is the small hospitals in smaller towns. No big hospitals participating. They can talk on big forums. None of them are participating. So I think India has already shown the way. I think you all mentioned, Kris mentioned, that we are having a very high load of problems. We are having very low resources. The only way out is innovation. And government is doing that. They are mindful of the fact, and I was involved in drafting the health policy, served as advisor to health minister, that we are mindful of that doctors would not go to rural India for decades. We have ignored infrastructure. No doctor studies for 12 years to go back to a village, because he looks at uplifting himself or herself. So let's use technology, and that's what government has exactly done. Well, and India has shown the way. Well, we are still far off, but I think the path is clear. That we are marching towards telling the world that new model is required, and the new model is this.
So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is next to US, we have the maximum number of technology people, IT people. All the R&D, well, not all, some of the R&D of most of these companies are being done in India. If you look at Google, Microsoft, everybody, Facebook, everybody, it's being done in India. So we have the technical talent, second largest in the world, and at a price point that makes it actually attractive, so that the solutions become cheaper. And that's why I again come back to my point that solutions coming out of India will be affordable, or will possibly be affordable to the 8 billion people in the world. And that's what India's unique role is. India's unique role is to create solutions that the entire world can actually use.
And I think that is the opportunity. So what I was listening for is integrated research and clinical practice married with technology. So that's what's missing. At the end of the day, that's what's going to require India to take a lead.
Yeah. So I want to add to that. India also can actually bring new and interesting solutions to the world, because we have actually, the traditional medicine which is practiced in India even today, to bring it to evidence-based modern medicine. So, I will just give you an example, because this is something I am supporting, the use of Brahmi to enhance memory and reduce cognitive decline and things like that. So we are going through now patient trials using Brahmi, what particular modality that needs to be used so that it is effective. The reliability of the solution becomes better and things like that. So similarly, we have actually lots and lots of solutions. They need to be brought to evidence-based modern medicine. And that's again an opportunity for India actually.
I agree. All right, we're at time here. Final word, you have a minute. You have a lot of innovators in the audience, right? Young, old, physicians, administrators. What's the one piece of advice that you would offer them as they're embarking? Healthcare innovation takes a long time. So what's the one piece of advice?
I would say that, if you really look at the world today in terms of the 5 most valuable companies, they started with people like them as startups. So they were not the specialists in their field, they were not the best in their field, but they created the best organizations in that field. So there's nothing that stops it today. I think we will dismantle, democratize and de-doctorize healthcare with innovations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I, putting it in a different way, I strongly believe that in the next 10 years or maybe maximum 20 years, we will address a lot of diseases that do not have cures yet. My own support is for research on Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia. And with AI, with ability to understand the brain better, I strongly believe that we can probably help find cures for that or some of it. Similarly, cancer, similarly, many of the other diseases which have not been addressed, I think we'll be able to find cures. So best time to be in healthcare is now.
Well, you could see these technocrats giving such it in the healthcare arena. I mean, people who are thinking about bringing technology to healthcare, that movement has already started. And with, sir, with all of you, all being technocrats, giving us this perspective is extremely valuable and very, very heartwarming. Because for last 50 years, I'm trying to see how doctors will accept technology. We have few here who have, and we keep on learning because it's not easy to learn technology, but we learn from our children. And it will really transform the healthcare of the world. So with that, I have one or two things I want to ask each of you. Okay, that's my privilege. Maneesh, you have created the world's largest platform of patients' data. How that, and in 1 minute answer, how that is going to impact and transform healthcare? Please.
So thank you. So right now we have about 50 petabytes of data on 10 million patients that Mayo has seen. We've now partnered with other academic institutions to bring that data number to 500 petabytes, representing different kinds of genotypes, phenotypes across the world. To give you a very concrete example, we trained an algorithm, a very narrow example, an ECG algorithm to detect asymptomatic condition called long QT. For those cardiologists in the room, that'll make sense to you. And asymptomatic, meaning there's no clinical indication. We trained it, went through the FDA pathway. It's now running at Mayo Clinic, and we've shown that it's saved hundreds of lives. Now, what we did is took that to a partner in Nigeria using a consumer-grade device, and it's now running in Nigeria. So we could show a very simple algorithm that has zero cost to run, can save hundreds of lives before the patient has any clinical indication.
Thank you. That what he talked about, simple doing cardiogram and measuring the interval on a simple rhythm strip. If there is that abnormality, there is many instances of sudden death, particularly in athletes. And just doing that can prevent and save so many lives. Thank you, Maneesh. Kris, amazing work that you have done, what you have given to the world in terms of Infosys and the data and computer programming and software. Now you are in healthcare, and that is so heartwarming, and we want to compliment you for doing this from medical community. And it should be inspiration to all the technocrats that there is a great opportunity, not just in saving lives, but just think about it. Technology in healthcare is the largest business segment. The world spends $9 trillion every year in healthcare. And of this, America alone spends $1 trillion in healthcare technology. So not only it's a great thing that we will do, but it will be a great business as well, and economy. So thank you, Kris, for doing what you're doing. You have already told audience all the great things you are doing and your passion for brain and old age living, etc., to improve. We salute you and our from medical community and probably from everybody. A big round of applause to you.
One thing I did not cover, in India, we are also trying to shift to primary care focus. Rather than today, the focus is on tertiary care, actually. We're looking at disease management than health management or wellness. That's again an opportunity we have in India to reinvent where the focus really should be. And I hope that's something that we look at going forward. And with digital, we ourselves can manage today our own health on a continuous basis, because we'll have data, a huge amount of data about ourselves, and that will allow us to manage our health ourselves.
Thank you.
Raj, can I add to
Sure,
what Kris said?
please.
Because since he talked about primary care, we all have followed him, what he created for the world through Infosys and what he talked about primary care. So after writing policies, what I went into was implementing and what we can do for that. So right now you all can download a Patient Union app, both on Android and iOS. And what we are doing essentially, and this is the beta version which is out, we have updated. We want by next year, no one should take the precious time of a primary care physician, but they should be able to get their answers right on the mobile app. Just we are stopping short of prescriptions, though we are capable of doing that. And it's going to be free all through. I do not want someone who has access to no doctor shouldn't have access to technology. At least that we can do. So Patients Union app is out there right now for serving the primary care needs of people of India.
Thank you. Now, since you have been in policymaker and some of the amazing programs created, and I'm personally experienced that, aware of it, and user of it. E-Sanjeevani, which was started in August 2019, Sanjay Sood, who is the technocrat, he's on our health council panel as advisor. We got permission from government to integrate in our software, which we are offering to rural population in telemedicine. I'll touch base on that at the end. ABBA and other programs that have been created are absolutely outstanding, and that is going to transform not only the rural healthcare, but going to transform the world, how we receive healthcare, how patients receive healthcare. And finally, a word about doctors adopting technology. No questions, I'm now speaking as a doctor. We doctors are the last one in the history to adopt any change. Any change. Just to give an example, when in 1850, when stethoscope was invented and came out, there was an editorial article in British Medical Journal saying that this device is inconvenient and it will never be used by a doctor. That's the kind of thing we see. Even Mr. Watson in 1962 said, oh, world only needs 5 mainframe. Nothing else is needed. We already have it. So why to invest anything in computer? And of course, you can see Apple and Microsoft and the world, how that has changed. So thanks to you technocrats, the only way doctors will adapt. And for example, I created remote telemedicine system in 2010. I debuted that. I was the first in America to show freestanding telemedicine clinic and piloted that into Walmart store in 2012. We produced the data, presented to American Telemedicine Association, got first prize. However, after 1,000 presentation to hospitals and doctors and private group, I could not get even 5 people to accept. They said, oh, this, and the reason was, not that they didn't like it, reason was there was no reimbursement, there was no economic gain. So no, I know. So yeah, I'm sorry, I practice only in USA, so that's the experience. So I would tell Maneesh that economy is the greatest motivator for adoption. And I think when that happens, as you policymaker and that remember, I think everybody will adopt. For example, 50 years ago when I started practice, there were no computers. Only thing we had invented at that time was TI-10 calculator, which could do square root function. I was still using slide rule and log table to do our cardiology calculations. Now, there were no echo, there were no CT scanner, there were no MRI, there was no nuclear medicine, there were no genetic engineering, nothing. But over 50 years, I had to learn, and because it was important to know and tell to patients and be up to date. So economy will motivate us, and patient asking will also drive our practice. So again, I want to thank you, my panel. You have been amazing. Thank you so much for bringing your take. Please, round of applause to our yes, Chaitanya.
No, I was just saying economy is very important, but internet is the greatest leveler after God.
Thank you.
And therefore technology is helpful in spreading all over.
So you can see those who are here, we are actually adopters and sold to technology. Okay, thank you.
There is one more thing you need to realize. Leveling the field is bombing the ground.
We have an amazing presentation upcoming from Dr. Rahul Gupta, who has specially come from USA. He is the please, Rahulji, please come. He is the first physician, international medical graduate, who have achieved the highest position in administration as a drug czar under Biden administration, particularly for addiction and preventing death from drug overdose. He has worked he's the only one who was nominated and got the nomination for all 100 senators, which is a rare thing that we see in America. We are fortunate he flew to be with you and present how he has used technology, and it is our great fortune. What more can I say about Rahulji? Amazing physician, amazing administrator, a great one to achieve that kind of a height with a budget of $44 billion in last 2 years that he has commanded. That's a kind of a trust America has put in this physician. So please listen to him. I want to thank you, my partner, Bindu Kansupara, to bring him over with his personal persuasion. So Rahulji, thank you very much. It's all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to see if we can put the slide set on. Let me just tell you before I start, I had the option when Dr. Bindu Kansupara called me and Dr. Shah to either be at the inauguration tomorrow of President-elect Donald Trump and then go from there to Air Force Base, or be here with you. But what I'm going to do is I will actually take you through a real-life case study of scaled-up problem and digital as well as technological solutions, and then present you a 2-minute video of where we are and another example of where we are today within the United States. Thank you. So let me just start that, talk a little bit about, again, this is very much how you solve a problem, and I'm going to go over all of these things with you. So if you see on the top, this is Executive Office of President Biden, and you can see in parentheses, so these are all direct reports to the President, so my boss is the President, that's who I answer to, and I lead this office. Since 1989, I give you this because the United States has a problem. The world has problem with thousands of years, but about 70 years or so. And as Dr. Shah mentioned, I lead a budget across 19 agencies of about $44 billion a year. And I work across 19 government agencies. So FDA, somebody was mentioning FDA, DEA, CDC, those are all the agencies when it comes to drug budget that I supervise. And again, the Senate confirmation process you go through in the United States when you're nominated by the president, and you have to get through. And this gets to the problem of substance use in America, addiction. So there's 48 million people out of 350 million who have this problem. Of those, 27 million have drug use disorder, and about 8 million actually, I'll produce you a study that I published in New England Journal of Medicine, have opioid use disorder. So this is the numbers. And if you look in United States, this is actually true, becoming more true for all countries across the globe. If you see the dark blue, way back, people were dying of motor vehicle accidents and other things. Today, the number one cause of unintentional injuries is actually drug overdoses. So you can see how the blue bar has really spiked up. So you can see here, again, the bottom is the years from 1999, and you can see 2021. You see the red spike? So this is when the president asked me to serve. He said, well, this is your problem. We're dying 100,000 people, and you got to solve it. Again, the biggest problem in the United States to solve. So this was my task. And it was going up exponential rises. And, you know, you could read the title of this, Did the Opioid Epidemic Fuel Donald Trump's Return to the White House? So this is not an issue that is away from politics. It's in the middle of politics. So what I deal with every day is actually wins and loses elections. Now, $1 trillion per year, the lost economy in the United States because of this. By the way, Russia's budget is about $1.2 trillion a year. So we're losing the GDP of Russia in the United States because of this one issue. And you can see the reddening across the years, so it's got really red. And now I want to show you this chart, and I'll explain how it happened. So if you see the chart here, you see the rise, and now you see the curve, and you see it going down. So in 2021, when we came into office, 31% increase year by year. Now, 22% decline in deaths. So that's a 53% turnaround. So you have to think, nowhere in the world do you see changes like this by government in a matter of 4 years. And I want to explain that a little bit and go along in this presentation why it happened. So this is the strategy. This is actually the Oval Office and meeting. So we did 3 things, or 4 things. So we talk about there's an antidote for overdose called naloxone. Again, the problem was it was not available, it was not affordable, it was not accessible. So we made it available over the counter. We made it affordable from $100 a pack to about $24 a pack. We made everybody have it. We scaled up treatment, including telehealth. We used technology. I'll show you examples for response strategies, and then cracked on illicit finance through technology. So this is the paper I published that shows the deaths we talk about is only the tip of the iceberg. Below that is people who suffer from non-fatal overdoses. So, you know, in US, you call 911. Here you call 100 every time. So there's a lot more people that do that than who actually die. And underneath the pyramid is actually people who suffer from disease in the first place. So if you look at only the tip of the iceberg, you're missing the point. So you have to look at all of it if you want to get the numbers that I mentioned. So for every person that dies, we did the math, there are 14 people, or 14 times they would go as non-fatal overdose. Then one time they'll go and they're dead. The question is, they're calling 14 times 911, where are we for the first time, the second time, the third time, and on and on. So even in US, there's no network like this. Nobody was estimating. Because if you don't know, then what are you going to do about it? So I went to CDC. Okay, everybody, can you raise your hand if you know what CDC is, Centers for Disease Control Prevention? Okay. I said, why don't we have this system? They said, well, we're really not interested. So then I went to actually Department of Transportation, where when you make a call, 911, that's where the data goes because of the history of motor vehicle accidents. So I said to them, do you want to do this? And they said, yes. So we created a real-time dashboard, publicly available, of every 911 call that happens because of overdose at a zip code level. So basically, the policymakers, the first responders, the hospitals will know in real time how many people are getting overdose, how many are being transported, how many are not, how many are getting into treatment in real time. So we could pull up any state, any jurisdiction, any time. So that's, again, an opportunity for India to think about how it's the number 100 services are coordinated. Because of that coordination, we were able to actually then help those people the first time, not the 13th time or the 14th time. When the first time somebody overdosed, you save their life and you get them treatment, then you are going to see a 50% decline in overdose deaths. Then we also did a social media campaign. So we did Instagram and all of that, actual digital campaigns by young people for young people. And then border. I'm sure you know the US border. If you read anything about US politics, you know. So this is me actually on the US-Mexico border with a bulletproof vest. I'm looking at it because there was drug traffickers bringing in the van right there when I was there. This is me in the Black Hawk helicopter looking at Mexico. This is the president of the border. So can anyone guess where I am here? There's actually a tunnel between United States and Mexico. And there were people with AK-47s just the week before when I visited, cartels. So they actually smuggled through that. And this is actually, I know there's a lot of rich people in Mumbai, but this is actually El Mayo. He's the richest person in the world. We captured him, El Mayo, the drug trafficker. So you do all of these things as well. But the problem is, the drugs are brought from the border to the United States. And majority of them are brought by legal ports of entry through commercial traffic, like trucks, vehicles. Do you know in any president in the United States, how much % of vehicles do you think are being scanned by technology for detection of drugs and using AI? Anybody can guess? Huh? Yeah, so 5% only. So when I told the president, he said, no, we have to scale up, we have to get 100%. So again, implementation of technology and artificial intelligence on the border. This is what the technology looks like to detect drugs and humans smuggled and everything. So we then started to work on implementing technology at the border to every port of entry. We actually are putting in these scanners where you drive through and you can get it. And so we've had the largest seizures of drugs in 2 years than the previous 5 years because of that. That's also helped. And then business is also a commercial enterprise. You know, people are there, the drug business, to make money. So this is actually in Ecuador, and this is the president of Colombia. So this is how, this is about ambassador. You have to fly over in gunships because there are guerrillas and terrorists downstairs, in the field. And this is actually cocaine, real cocaine that you interdict. The problem is when you catch cocaine, if you don't have technology to destroy it, then they go back by corrupt systems into the system. So we developed technology to get rid of cocaine. There's so much cocaine that you also need to do that to get rid of it. And that's where just doing old school things are not enough. So one of the things we did I actually turned this whole production into a supply chain. If you look at it, we published this, how the drug dealers produce and actually use the whole system, and the money, the dollars, go back into the system. So we began to use various aspects to choke it, whether it's cryptocurrency determination, whether it's trademark, trade-based banking, and all of those. So every piece, we use technology to bring it down, to stop it. And that's kind of how part of it we started to see the immediate effects. And then, of course, we talked, I know we have talked a lot about it. When Prime Minister Modi came with a state visit, we actually get an agreement with the most forward-leaning US-India drug policy agreement. So because of that, we're working on global supply chain now, working on public health aspects. And of course, we're working also with China on some of these things as well. And that was celebrated by Prime Minister when he came to the house of the president last September. Actually, the agreement they're holding here, this is signed by Ambassador Quatra, and this is signed by me. So we signed the agreement between the two countries to have this. We also have technology here for guns. So now we're able to we are able to predict which gun will fire and kill people versus which gun will not because of technology. We're able to trace the casing back to the bullet and back to the gun. So all we need is the casing and we can tell which gun has been fired where, how many times. So we talked about the functional MRI, right? So some of these, we'll talk about genomics today, proteomics. So I want to share some of that. So again, addiction is a brain disease. And you can see this functional MRI that we're doing. So question now is, how do you treat addiction? Because in India and across the world, addiction is a real problem. When we went to medical school, we did not know addiction was a disease. Now we know a lot more. So it's a lot more important to understand that. So now a couple of examples. Cognitive care is a work that is happening with Venkat Perry's back here. This is focused on maternal and infant mortality. And the problem, again, is we talked about this. There's so many social determinants of health that deal with individuals, which match with clinical factors. And you have to we cannot treat everybody the same in every disease at the same time, because some people who are pregnant will have poor outcomes, others will not. So it's very important to figure out what the outcomes are going to be predictive-wise. So this is what some of the work that I was doing even in my March of Dimes days. This becomes very important to understand, and then focus on the high-risk population. The whole game is not about the same treatment for everyone. The focus is, if you can predict that, you can get that improved for high risk and reduce cost. And then lastly, I'm gonna play a video about a company that we're now working on proteomics, genomics, and multiomics. What that means is not only personalized medicine, but how can you get to, So come with President Biden and leave with President Biden, yeah.
Health. AI accelerating medicine today. GATC Health is a technology company using advanced artificial intelligence to accelerate the discovery and development of better medicines. GATC Health is an AI platform that mimics human physiology to discover new medicines sooner, with less risk and less cost than ever before. GATC's AI platform, which we call Multiomics Advanced Technology, or MAT for short, mimics human physiology in such detail that we can discover the source or cause of virtually any disease and discover new compounds or drug candidates to treat those diseases more effectively, faster, and with less expense than ever before. GATC's MAT AI platform processes over 400 trillion data points in less than 8 minutes. GATC's lead drug candidate to treat opioid use disorder was discovered and validated on our AI platform. Addiction today is a global epidemic. GATC Health has created a non-opioid treatment for opioid use disorder. Our AI platform was able to discover 3 targets in the brain directly associated with opioid use disorder. From there, the AI platform discovered novel compounds to directly affect those targets in the brain. We have now advanced those testing through in vitro and now in vivo testing with University of California, Irvine, to prove prospectively that what we predicted on the AI platform was actually going to happen in the lab. So what we've been able to do is discover a novel compound to treat opioid use disorder, which is not itself addictive, a non-narcotic, and we've been able to demonstrate its safety, efficacy, and off-target effects, not only in our AI platform, but also in the lab. We're progressing through IND testing now, and we expect to be first in humans before the end of 2025 to bring this novel treatment for opioid use disorder into the market as soon as possible. In addition to the treatment for opioid use disorder, we have 7 additional candidates in our pipeline that are all in preclinical testing. These include treatments for conditions like glioblastoma, metabolic diseases like diabetes, and Alzheimer's. GATC Health is a technology company with an advanced AI platform that reduces the time, cost, and risk associated with drug discovery.
So, we talk about the future, it's here, it's the present. So what you're looking at is not 30, 40 years of having 1,000 compounds that lead to ultimately one drug that may or may not make money, takes time, and you spend $1 billion. You're really looking at developing compounds literally in months, and then doing the preclinical testing, getting the drug approval, and then going to clinical testing in a matter of a couple of years. And again, not managing diseases, but actually curing diseases. This is the difference. Right now, if you think about diabetes, hypertension, addiction, you are pretty much on lifelong treatment. So we're really talking about curing diseases in a way it hasn't happened before. So these are the kind of technology platforms I think that will be of the future. And that's why it's important, I think, so a lot of the speakers have already talked about, but I wanted to show you actual work that is happening across technology in developing these molecules. So thank you very much.
Rahulji, stay here. Thank you very much. He flew from America to share this information. And look at the technology, how it is impacting life and how it is not only just individual life, but across the globe. And that's why I salute to all the technocrats. You are the one who are creating this and making it possible. Now, officially, our time, 1:30, is done, but I do need your presence here because we started late. About 10 more minutes for a few more things that needs to be done. I need to recognize my eminent speakers here. Please, Gautam, where is Maneesh? Maneesh Goyal? Oh, okay. Maneesh will be coming. Kris? Rajendra? Okay. Devashish?
I was saying, Dr. Raj Shah has performed better than an engineer in ensuring that time efficiency is there in the sessions. I don't need to give, he's already won. By virtue of association with wheels and standing here.
Thank you.
Right, so thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Right, so with those beautiful words, I would like to invite Shri Pradeep Kapoorji, former ambassador and secretary. He's also the executive director, Smart Village Development Framework at the Wheels Global Foundation. Please, a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
So, firstly, I would like to, congratulate Dr. Raj Shah and his team for putting up such a phenomenal discussion. Maneesh. I think you'd all agree that for all of us, it's been a great blessing to be in this room with these great minds and leaders, thought leaders and visionaries who are creating so much impact in India and in the world. And I, really congratulate each one of you for all the phenomenal work that you're doing, and may you continue doing that for many more years. Just one thought which I have. In the US, the Indian diaspora is making phenomenal contributions, as we all know. And I'm part of the American Hindu Coalition also. Today there's going to be a big inaugural, like Dr. Rahul Gupta was mentioning, the inaugural balls. Tomorrow is the main inauguration. So we were supposed to be there because the American Hindu Coalition is hosting an inaugural ball. And probably President Trump may join that very briefly also. But what I see is that The IIT, the Pan IIT, which is about 60,000 strong, is making a phenomenal impact. The engineers from India are making a phenomenal contribution in terms of startups, in terms of corporate sector, in terms of academic sector, in terms of NGO sector, in terms of any sector that you see in the US. The doctors are making a phenomenal contribution. And if the Pan IIT USA and Wheels, which are functioning very well, if there's something similar on the physician side, unfortunately the RP is not fully geared up to be a good partner. But if these two streams are able to join together and work together, the impact that will have on the American mind will be something mind-blowing, because every, fourth doctor, or less than almost a third and a half doctor that they see is an Indian today, any American. And most of the Americans, get their interaction with Indians at the universities, or for employment they go to an Indian, or for working as a partner they go to an Indian, because all the Fortune 500 companies have some Indian in the top echelons, C-suite. So I think the future is only going to be better and better, and we have to see how to get there faster. So we'll look forward to your working towards that also, because the number of people in Indian origin people in politics has to also increase significantly. It is happening very slowly. It has to happen a little faster. But with this happening, I guess we'll be able to make our two countries work together for the good of the world. Thank you.
So on behalf of the Pan IIT organization, and I'm talking about the alumni community as a whole, right? I would like to thank you very much for taking time out and joining us here. This is a creation by so many passionate people. And everybody who is here represents that passion to us, which makes me hopeful that we will be able to create something much, much larger with much larger impact. And we require all your support and all your help. We are there, all our associate bodies and initiatives are there. Everybody is just coming together for this one purpose, going beyond the labels and names and everything else. What is that? We are IIT alumni. We want to contribute back to the nation. And we are very happy that we have these excellent people who technically may not be called engineers, but they are actually coming together because the larger vision is as visible to them as it is to us. So thank you very much. Please feel free to let us know what we have done right, what we have not done right, could have done better, what could be done, what you would like to contribute, and we'll figure out a way to execute that. Thank you very, very much. In another few years, we will come to the close of the session. Please join us in the closing plenary as well.
So to conclude, I would like to invite Shri Pratap Kapoorji again. Sir, if you could felicitate Shri Kris Gopalakrishnan, Chairman Axilor Ventures and co-founder Infosys. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Rahul Gupta, Director Office of the National Drug Control Policy USA, and Dr. Pratap Kapoor to please felicitate. Right, round of applause. Thank you.
Gift from me personally, the way you are changing the world. And think pen is mightier than sword. With your one strike, you can change the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just want to thank Dr. Bindu Kaspara as well. He's just instrumental and ultimate person.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to invite Mr. Maneesh Goyal next, CEO of Mayo Clinic.
And I know you only do digital writing, but but pen is still right here. Your signature carries. Thank you. Personally from you. Yeah, okay, okay. Next one. No, yeah, yeah. You're doing great.
Right. So next, I'd like to invite Mr. Devashish Bhattacharya. Of course, you all know him, Chairman Pan IT Alumni India. Sir, could you please felicitate Mr. Gautam Khanna, CEO Hinduja Hospitals. He's also our EC member, Pan IT.
The golden pen for the golden man and personal gift from me for excellent work that you are doing at Hinduja Hospital. And thank you for the gift that you gave all of us, the beautiful Ganpati statue, which will for the new beginning. For the new beginning. And I have one thing for you. Devashish, hold on.
One. Of course. And of course, best comes towards the end as well. And of course, we have our lovely Dr. Raj Shah, Chairman, Health Council, Wheels Foundation. I would like to invite again Mr. Devashish Bhattacharya and Mr. Praveen Kumar, GB member, Panel Number India, to felicitate him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Shah, just 1 minute. Thank you. Announcement in the same light. Not only I want to introduce, he doesn't need introduction, Ambassador Pratap Kapoor, who is IAS, IIT Delhi, and ex-ambassador who has seen the role of technology, role of policy making, and a prolific writer who, in the same subject, he has written a book, India Beyond the Pandemic, a Sustainable Path Towards Global Quality Healthcare. And that book I have here, which we'd like to present to our Rahulji. Rahul, the gift from Ambassador Pratap Kapoor in the things. Okay. Okay. Maneesh, I'm sorry, Gautam, please.
Mayo Connect ka CEO, Maneesh.
You are way beyond that.
Maneesh, I'm just taking your job.
Okay. and we have Maneesh. Okay. We'll give it to him. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have some amazing people who are right here. We are doing, it is Penn IIT which created Wills Global Foundation. I want to recognize these visionary leaders who saw and inspired us to give back, and included not just the technocrats, but us doctors, healthcare providers, and everybody, including administrator, accountant, financial people, and legal people. And we have some of them here. I would like to recognize Hitendra Ghosh, one of the founders, Suresh Chinoy. Recognize all, please, all Wills Global directors, please stand up. Nishit Desai, one of the most eminent lawyer of India, with his team of 100+ lawyers, along with healthcare expert, a doctor turned lawyer, Dr. Mitesh Andani, Milind Antani, who also happens to be from my medical college, Baroda Medical College, I'm graduate from. All of you please stand up so that I... Okay, now, along with this, Sujata Rosh is president for Wills Global India. We will. Now I have another, we have a great health council. And in health council, I'm the chairman, and my most active person, vice chairman, who makes everything possible, Dr. Bindu Kansupara, my partner in cardiology practice, and my nephew. So it's a family. Yes, and he's heading Mental Health Council. I have my counterpart in India, Dr. Chaitanya Buch, again, a medical graduate from Baroda Medical College, and he's here. He handles all the medical thing in India. I have Professor Khanna, who created spoken tutorial and makes it possible. And another star of our health council, Dr. Rupal Dalal, pediatrician, who has made possible to bring infant nutrition by just properly teaching breastfeeding technique, program created by Professor Madgalia, which has impacted and will impact 30 million newborn by eliminating, just by teaching how to hold the baby and feed, which has eliminated malnutrition, undernutrition, and reduced mortality by 25%. She's conducting this in entire state of Madhya Pradesh. Now we have Maharashtra going to join us, Meghalaya, and Jharkhand. And I think pretty soon it will be all over our country, and Wills Global and Penn IIT will be known for this amazing work that will be done. So please give a round of applause to our healthcare and all people. So again, thank you very much. Please join part of our health. Anyone who are part of our health council, please join. Yes, please join. Nishit Bhai is our legal, give honorary service to Wills Global and all the legal work we do. Thank you, Nishit Bhai and Milin. Varsha Vaidyan. Okay, so I cannot. No. Okay, for a group photo, if I forgot to mention anybody, please pardon me. I want to include everybody. Kishan Goenkaji, our mentor from Delhi IIT, and thank you all. Thank you all, and we are very grateful to the amazing support we get from IITians of the world. And thank you.
Can I take 30 seconds? And it shows our, we run doctor engineer forums, we run PIWOT. So I have one word to tell you, the patient care is done 90% by relatives. So my word is reminder. First is relatives. Then those who have patient care in mind, medico, intern, nurses, doctors, engineers. And we are able to cure everybody because of the engineers at the back. So reminder is engineers backing us, the patients with patient care in mind, to help the relatives to get their relatives better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. If I miss anything, please pardon me. But this was a wonderful experience to be in presence of all of you.